And so this is a question I get often from men, and one that I have wrestled with myself. I don't think it's a question that is altogether unique to our generation, but I think our generation does wrestle with it in a heightened way, where in previous generations there was clear roles for men and women. That even if you didn't fit neatly into those roles, there was a clear expectation that this is what it means to be a man and this is what it means to be a woman. Where a lot of that is lacking in our society now, lacking in our generation now. There's not that overarching narrative of this is the role of what it means to be a man. And so a lot of people are now questioning what does it mean to be a man, and um, some of that pushback has been good in the sense that there were stereotypes of here's what it means to be a man, and if you don't fit the stereotypical manliness definition, now your manhood is in question. And so I think some pushback on that is good, that not everyone is going to fit in that stereotypical definition. But the challenge is that while you're pushing back against that stereotype, you've not replaced it with a truer, enduring excellence of what it means to be a man. I think some of the stereotypes are caricatures, as it were, that they're not altogether helpful stereotypes to expect that every guy is going to like rock climbing or sports or the like, and to assume that that's the essence of masculinity, I think misses the essence of masculinity. That it's fine for those things to represent or for you to express your masculinity in that way, but to assume that that is the essence of masculinity misses the point. But again, if we're not offering a meaningful, compelling picture, and that's the only image, what we often get are these polarized dynamics that you have a group of society that's pushing back against the stereotypes, rightfully so, but then leaving a void. And in the absence of that void, then the people who are proclaiming the stereotypes, in some ways, are advocating rightly as well, in the sense that there is a distinction between men and women. And if there's a void, and that stereotype is the only thing that we have, then we are fighting and advocating at least for the stereotype, because the distinctions between men and women still do matter. And so I want to try to nuance it more, that well, I don't want to simply cave in or buy that we have to be a manly stereotype per se to be a real man. Distinctions do matter. I think it's helpful maybe to think about these in orders of masculinity, where first order, second order. First order masculinity may be seen as the physical appearance. And so what we would stereotypically think of as the man's man. And so they play the part. And so physically they're impressive. And in many ways, on the surface, no one questions their manhood on the surface. And so when you see them walking down the street, you clearly say that is a man. But that's first order masculinity. Second order masculinity is more about the essence. What does it mean to actually function and fulfill our role, our ethic as men? And on this level, masculinity is not so much about appearance, but about our essential being. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be masculine? And at the core level, part of what it means to be a man is to generate life outside of ourselves, to bring more life and goodness into the world. And so in this way, some people who have first order masculinity, they look the part, are not fulfilling second order masculinity, in that their appearance is more vain, it's more about themselves. And so they want to look the part, but they're not generating more life and goodness into the world around them. And so they're failing on that second order masculinity. Or for others, they are fulfilling second order masculinity in that they are blessing their communities. They're bringing more life and goodness into the world. Whether they're the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, they are bringing more life and goodness into the world, even if they're not physically impressive per se. I don't want to pit these orders against each other as if only thing that matters is second order and first order doesn't matter. I think first order has its place. There's something to be said about just being physically impressive and playing the part. That speaks volumes, that I believe represents God's masculinity, even if that individual is not living up to that. What they represent by their physical form, how they show up in the world, still speaks volumes that needs to be honored. But on the flip side, that's not enough for that individual man if he's not also living out the full essence of masculinity, bringing more life and goodness into the world. On the other side, just because you're not that doesn't make that you're less of a man. That you can still be just of a man, and maybe even more so if you are fulfilling that ethic. That the true essence of a man is being able to generate life outside of ourselves, to be that blessing to others, to bring more life and goodness into the world around us. And so while doing that, we don't have to neglect our first order masculinity, but not confusing the two. And so to answer your question, no, you're not less of a man just because you're not a stereotypical manly man. You can be just as much of a man if you're fulfilling that core ethic. Don't neglect cultivating first order masculinity, but not assuming that the totality of masculinity just resides in first order. We need both. We need first order and we need second order masculinity to fully reflect God's image in the world.